What if one man conquered the known world before the age of 33? What if his enemies outnumbered him, yet never defeated him? What if his name still shakes empires more than 2,300 years later? This is the story of Alexander the Great. But was he truly the greatest general in history, or just the most legendary? Born in 356 BCE in Pella, Macedonia, Alexander wasn't just royalty, he was destiny in motion. His father, King Philip II, transformed Macedonia from a tribal backwater into a military powerhouse. But Philip's greatest legacy wasn't conquest, it was the boy he trained to take his place. Alexander's childhood was shaped by two powerful forces: martial discipline and philosophical brilliance. His tutor, none other than Aristotle, the greatest thinker of the classical world. Alexander didn't just study war, he studied ethics, politics, biology, language. He grew up believing he was a descendant of Achilles, and that conquering the world wasn't madness, it was duty. At just 16, while his father was away, Alexander crushed a revolt and founded his first city, Alexandropolis. By 20, after Philip's assassination, he became king of a region ready for revolution and expansion. In 334 BCE, Alexander made a move so bold it seemed impossible. He led 40,000 soldiers across the Hellespont into Asia to take on the Persian Empire, a superpower 10x the size of his own. Before even engaging, he paused at Troy, laying a wreath at Achilles' tomb. A symbolic gesture, a psychological message: I am the new Achilles. His first major battle came at the river Granicus. The Persians lined the opposite bank. Everyone advised caution. Alexander didn't hesitate. He led the companion cavalry straight across the river, swords raised, water crashing, arrows flying. He was nearly killed, but he broke their line, and with it, Persian confidence. Later that year, Alexander faced Darius III himself at Issus. Darius had over 100,000 troops. Alexander, barely 40,000. The terrain was narrow, the stakes enormous. Most generals would retreat. Alexander didn't. He studied the land, exploited bottlenecks, and launched a surprise right flank assault, driving directly toward Darius. The Persian king panicked, fled the field, leaving behind his family and royal treasure. In one moment, Alexander didn't just win a battle, he shattered the image of Persian invincibility. 2 years later came the defining showdown, Gaugamela. Darius returned, this time with a larger army, war elephants, and deadly scythed chariots. Alexander faced a doomsday scenario, but smiled. He let Darius deploy first, then shifted his lines diagonally, drawing the Persians out of formation. Then he struck the weak point with his elite cavalry, while his phalanx held the center. Darius fled again. The Persian Empire, the greatest in the world, was broken. Alexander was now king of Asia. Some victories come not through force, but sheer will. Tyre, a fortified island city off Lebanon, refused to surrender. Alexander didn't move on. He ordered a causeway to be built across the sea. 7 months of brutal labor under constant fire. When the bridge reached the city walls, he unleashed a final assault, battering rams, fire ships, catapults. Tyre fell. The message was clear: no wall can stop me. When Alexander entered Egypt, he wasn't met with swords, but flowers. They welcomed him as a liberator, not an invader. He traveled to the Siwa oasis and consulted the oracle of Amun. The priests declared him son of a god. He soon founded Alexandria, the most famous city of his legacy, a place of Greek, Egyptian, and global fusion. He didn't just conquer land, he built bridges between civilizations. In 326 BCE, Alexander faced King Porus near the Hydaspes River, modern-day Pakistan. Porus commanded war elephants, a terrifying force Alexander's army had never seen. But Alexander outsmarted him before a single arrow flew. He waited, watched. Then, during a monsoon storm, he led a secret crossing upstream, striking at dawn when Porus least expected it. The battle was brutal. Horses panicked, elephants rampaged, but Alexander's coordination, splitting his forces, shattered Porus's cavalry. But what happened next was even more telling. Porus, defeated, stood tall, and Alexander, impressed by his valor, didn't kill him. He gave Porus back his kingdom, because even for the greatest general, honor mattered. After the Hydaspes victory, Alexander's troops, exhausted and thousands of miles from home, refused to go further. So Alexander turned south, carving through the Gadesian desert, one of the harshest on earth. Thousands died of thirst, heat stroke, starvation. Alexander, ever the leader, refused special treatment. He poured out a helmet of water, his share, into the sand to show unity. But the journey took a toll, years of war, wounds, and grief. By the time he returned to Babylon, he wasn't the same. In 323 BCE, at just 32 years old, Alexander the Great died, possibly of fever, poison, or exhaustion. No heir, no blueprint, only legend. So, was he truly the greatest general in history? Let's weigh it. Pros: undefeated in battle, master of both strategy and tactics, fearless in combat, often leading from the front, brilliant in siegecraft, logistics, and psychological warfare, respected cultures he conquered, building cities, mixing civilizations. Cons: his campaigns caused untold suffering. No sustainable empire followed. His ambition sometimes outpaced his foresight. But maybe greatness isn't just about victory. Maybe it's about vision, about changing how the world sees what's possible. Alexander's story still echoes across continents, statues, cities, legends. Even now, centuries later, we still ask his question, what will they say about me when I'm gone? So you tell us, is Alexander the Great truly the greatest general in history? Comment your verdict. Let the debate begin.